Hello, I am here with Rita Holten. She is recently retired from the U.S. Army as a colonel and has transitioned into now having her own business. And she has finished the Resilient Transformation Academy with just a beautiful, beautiful journey. And I want to say, Rita, thank you for being here and sharing your beautiful story of transformation.
Thank you, Julia. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I'd love to hear, and maybe you could just share with the audience, where were you before you and I met? What were you experiencing?
Well, I just transitioned after 35 years in the military, and when you and I first met, I just got out. I mean, I was fresh and I came off of a deployment for a year. Um, I was overwhelmed. Um, that was most of my adult life. And so my identity, I think, was caught up in the military. And now I'm out and I have no idea who Rita is. I was having a lot of sleepless nights. I was having issues sleeping. A lot of it, some of it was, caused by the things that I saw, the things that I did. Just my whole military career just is what it is. Some of it caused by um, the being honestly being scared about going from boots to shoes. I'd been in boots for so long, though I love shoes. Now that I'm in shoes, there's no structure. I have to figure out what I'm going to wear every day. I have to figure out, how I'm going to wear my hair. All those freedoms that I didn't have. It was a very disciplined life, which I love because I love discipline. I love the structure. But it's very overwhelming, always on 7 days a week sometimes. I moved every 2 years, meaning I moved my family every couple of years as well. So I was married 3 times. Two of them were soldiers. It just didn't work. The third one was a civilian. That didn't work. I was basically married. My boyfriend, my husband, the love of my life was the Army. And when I finally realized that, um, I just sunk everything into that. Um, but I was also very lonely. Um, I had a hard time managing my emotions. I had some family issues. I had a relationship situation with my daughter. Again, being in that type of an environment, you can just imagine all the family issues and all the things that I had to contend with because I wasn't there all the time. And when I was there, it was short short-lived, if you will. So I missed a lot of games. I missed a lot of recitals. I sacrificed my family for my country. Um, so I was lost in the sauce. Simply put, lost in the sauce with everything. And did just was in a place where I spoke different. I was trained differently. So now I'm in the civilian world and people don't understand, the way that I speak and I'm looked at a little bit differently. And that's when I realized that it's me that needs to adjust, not everybody else. Um, but that's where I was.
Wow, so not sleeping, not managing your emotions, not really there for your kids growing up, married to the military, and now transitioning and kind of feeling lost in the sauce. So sounds like you had a lot of stuff going on. And I remember when we first started talking, you said, part of what I was choosing to do was not take on other people's negative energy and to
Mm,
stop that negative internal dialogue, because it sounds like you had a lot of that negative internal dialogue and your thoughts would race a lot, which caused a lot of sleepless nights.
absolutely. 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 That and the fact that I had two phones. They were always under my pillow. I was on call all the time, and I was there to serve others. But I didn't serve myself.
Yeah.
And then getting out, I didn't know how to serve myself. I was always giving, so hard to receive. And so that's also a part of the stress where Um, you need to, I'm a cheerful giver, but you also have to be a cheerful receiver, because if you don't allow other people to give to you, then they don't get blessed, right? So I'm always wanting to be blessed because I wanted, to be the giver. But it's just when you're always giving, it's hard to receive. And I think I'm a nurturer, I'm a mentor, but it's hard to it's hard to be the mentee sometimes. And
Yeah.
the coach needs a coach. So
Right. And now remember, you're a problem solver, and you wanted to
mhm,
solve your kids' problems, and you wanted to solve everybody else's problems. So a big piece of this was about learning how to let go of that
right,
and be okay and not have to always have that solution, because that was kind of stressing you out in a way as
absolutely.
well. You were living in that state of stress quite a bit. So
Sometimes no solution is the solution.
right, exactly. Right. And, I think a big part of when I first met you is like, I would love to give the solutions, but then when I didn't have a solution, you started to blame yourself
Mhm.
for other people not stepping up. Oh, it was my fault. And so there's this whole thing wrapped around that. And so being all these things that you just talked about, and wanting to find that internal peace, wanting to sleep through the night, wanting to stop the mind from racing and being able to control the emotions. What had you tried in the past to do this?
Whoa. Well, I do have an extensive toolbox. I do have can you hear
You're,
me? Okay.
yeah, you're
I
good.
do have a pretty extensive toolbox, thank goodness. So, I worked out, did the yoga thing, I meditated, I took sleeping pills. Um, but those are all, I mean, all those are healthy things, right? But I needed something else. Um, I went to therapy. I didn't have a good. I never really had a good therapist. Being in the military, because I traveled so much, I could never keep a therapist, and it's a high turnover rate. So then I just kind of stopped doing that thing. I did horse therapy for a little bit. I'm ballroom dancing now, which also helps. But when we start getting into this, we talked about it a little bit. It's your nervous system that needs to be regulated. And yeah, dancing, horse therapy, pills, all that stuff, that's all temporary stuff, right? But how do we reset our nervous system? And that's what I was mostly interested in, and being still. And so using heart math and the tools that you taught me showed me how to be still and actually feel the vibrations, not just say that I want peace, but actually go into a peaceful state. So
Yeah.
humongous difference.
Wow. So, was there anything when you and I started working together, was there anything like a skepticism, like, I'm not sure that this thing, what do you mean reset my nervous system? Was there any skeptical try that you did and then you were like, whoa, there's something to this?
Actually, no, I wasn't skeptical only because I'll try anything once. And so I was so open to it. But at first it wasn't working for me. And with when we were when we were going to the resiliency clinic, everybody was talking about green light language, and how when they were breathing, they did like these 10 and 30 and 40 and sometimes an hour sessions, and they're getting these internal massages. And I'm like, I'm not getting that. So I don't know what y'all are talking about. So I remember I always say, it's Jay, Brian, and Jeff. Those are my three musketeers. Those are like the three amigos. Love them. But those top three were the ones that used to talk about these massages and how wonderful it was. I'm like, well, dude, I am so not there. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I think you're crazy. I think it was obviously it's consistency. I want to say it was probably maybe the fourth or fifth session ish that I started being consistent with it, and I was using the apparatus in the morning with my prayer, and then at night with my prayer before I'd go to sleep. And that's when I started feeling it. And then not only that, but it's just the conversations that we would have. It wouldn't hit me until maybe a week, sometimes maybe even a month later, and I'm like, oh shoot, this is what Jeff was talking about, or this is what Julie was talking about. And then I started not that I wasn't paying attention, but I really started focusing on our resiliency clinics, and I didn't want to miss them because I would watch the recordings, but it's different. It's kind of like it's kind of like going to church online, right? Remember during COVID, we went to church online, and that was great. But I like feeling the energy, and even though the resiliency clinic was Zoom calls, I was still able to see people's faces. I can feel their energy. And because we were doing this for a minute, I felt like I knew them because we talked about family and we just talked about different things. I mean, we let go there. You know, that there was no judgment, there's no nothing. We let our hair down and we just said what we needed to say. And that was the other thing too. It was a very safe space. And I did not feel like I was being judged or anything. I felt very accepted. Not to say that I didn't feel that way in the military, but there is definitely a mask that you have to wear sometimes because there's some things that are ugly that you really can't say are ugly. You just, hey, you know what? I raised my hand without a gun to my head. I volunteer to serve my country. And whatever it is that you throw at me, I just need to swallow it, take it, and keep it moving. Um, but there was judgment. There was racism, gender racism, where ethnic racism, just all kinds of things. But here in the resiliency clinic, nothing. There's nothing. There's no rank structure. We're just people trying to get better, and we're talking each other through it. So I felt like I was part of a team. It was phenomenal, phenomenal.
So, what were some of the amazing results that you have experienced and will continue to experience as a result of coming to these resilient clinics and having your one on ones and going through the program?
Perspective, perspective on my transition. So the transition is what it is. Um, yeah, I was trying to avoid it. I was trying to go around it. I was trying to go under it. I was trying to go over it. But indeed, I have to walk through it. So my perspective on life is different. My perspective on my relationships with my I had a I have a not so wonderful relationship with one of my daughters. And so that was probably one of the biggest sticklers as a mom. You know, you want to have a good relationship with your daughter. My daughter's 30 something years old. Um, so my perspective on her is a little bit different. My perspective on my business is different. My perspective on people and things are different. I just look at it from a whole nother perspective. Um, I don't get excited about stuff. Not to say I don't get excited about like Disneyland or shoes. Those are my favorite things. But what I'm saying is I don't get emotionally distraught. I take a break. I breathe real quick and then I speak. But I listen first. And I think that's probably one of my lessons, and that's in the Bible too, right? It says be quick to listen and slow to speak. I'm always, because I was on so much, I listened, but I didn't. And I was always wanting to talk because always wanting to solve the problem. But again, sometimes solving the problem is there is no solution. So sometimes it's nothing. It's quiet. And that's what I learned. I learned to be quiet. I learned to be still. I learned to not take in what other people were trying to throw at me because a lot of times when people are throwing the negative stuff at you, it's not you. It's because they're going through whatever it is that they're going through. And so when you recognize that, and of course, that's something that we talk about all the time, but it's just when you go through different levels in your life, you still need the learning again. You still need ABCs all over again. You have to be reminded. And to me, this was like the ABC reminding me that I need to be still. I need to breathe. I need to be calm. I need to be peace, but not just say it. I remember one of our one-on-ones, you called me out and I said, no, Julie, I do feel peace and I am peace and I do want to be calm. And you're like, Rita, you say that you want to be calm, but I don't think that you're feeling calm at all. And after that session, I said, you know what, Julie's right. It looks good on paper. I say all the things, but I really aren't all those things. And when I really started feeling the peace, I mean, really just meditating to feel the peace, I felt peace and calm. And now I'm walking through life just again with a different perspective, calm and peace. I'm slowing it down. If I don't get to that thing, then you know what, I just don't get to that thing, and that's not for me to get to that day, or that time frame. It may not even be for me. I had an example of not an altercation, but I did have a discussion with somebody. Right now I'm remodeling a house, and I had some contractors, and I had some designers that were helping me, and things weren't going like I wanted them to go. And so I put my colonel hat on, and I got a little bit assertive, and that doesn't always work. Again, um, the way that I talk in the military and my demeanor is not the same demeanor and the same chatter that civilians have. And so I needed to learn that. Well, anyway, thank goodness I had already I think I almost graduated, or I was graduated, and this discussion happened, and it could have easily went awry, but instead immediately, I stopped. I recognized that the discussion that we were having, it wasn't a positive discussion, but it wasn't about me. It was about the person that was throwing all the spears at me. And I stopped. I started breathing, and I just started sending them love. And I let them say all the things that they had to say. I was sending them love, and then I let them speak. When they were complete, I was professional. I said everything that I needed to say with love, but I had to let them go. But I felt good about it. I slept on it, and I felt good about it. And from that time on, same thing with my daughter and my grandchildren. I'm able to just accept things for what they are. I'm not taking that negative chatter all in, because it's not about me, and I'm at peace with it.
Really beautiful. I'd like to just kind of put this in context a little bit because what you said is when you first came into the program, you didn't have control over your emotions and you were stressed a lot and you were solving other people's problems. And what I'm really hearing you say is that you learned a whole lot of stuff in this academy. You understand how the brain and the body work together, but you were getting it at an intellectual level.
Hmm.
And the big shift that I'm hearing you say is that I moved it from the intellect and I embodied the teaching.
Yes.
And that's where the real magic happens because the brain is for thinking, the body, the language of the body is feeling. And when we can move that understanding into the feeling, that's where you kept saying my perspective changed on so many different things. Well, we see the world through how we feel. And you move from the stress state, overwhelm, constant overwhelm and stress, into peace. You finally embody that peace. And when you embody that peace, of course, you're going to experience the
Mhm.
world different because peace is a particular vibration. And what I'm really hearing you say is because I've embodied this peace, in the moment when I was in an argument or a disagreement with some people that were remodeling my house, you could access it, send them love in that moment, and feel good about how you responded. You learned to respond versus reacting.
Correct.
So your journey has been, and we always say this has nothing to do with the outside because the outside is going to be stressful. It's how we manage what's happening on the inside so that we
Hmm.
feel good about our relationship to the chaos in the outside. Really incredible journey. And in doing this and you embodying and learning to be comfortable sitting still instead of going, 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 now are you sleeping better? Are your relationships better?
Absolutely. And the word that we haven't used yet that I have to say, it's going from non-coherence to getting coherent, and recognizing that I'm not coherent. That is the key. And that's where my sleep is better, because I am coherent. And I do this, I do this, but before I go to bed, I pray, and I breathe. I get coherent, and I ask God to just, whatever is going to come into my thought process, because God talks to us in our dreams through other people and things like that. And so I'm very, very, my dreams are better. I sleep. When I sleep now, even if I don't get enough sleep, I feel rested. Where
Wow.
before you could get 10 hours of sleep and not feel rested.
Yeah, you're feeling rested.
Absolutely.
What about that negative internal dialogue, that mind that just chattered all the time? What's going on with that now?
Oh, that's just leave me alone. Leave me alone because now I have another tool in my toolbox to help me. I'm gonna say, those are Satan's whispers, and even though I have tools to knock Satan up behind me, now I have even more of a tool because now I'm getting coherent. So I those are all lies.
Are you able to stop that negative internal
Oh,
dialogue?
absolutely not. Now we're human, right? So it's going to happen, and I may let it happen for a minute because I may be laser focused on something else. But as soon as I become aware, I stop. Oh no, let's let's close my eyes. Let's do some Abe, and let's get coherent and keep it moving.
And then are you able to change the thought and rewire the thought into
Oh,
something
quickly,
that's more?
quick,
Okay.
quickly, just quickly. Where before it took me, or I would sit in it too long. I could get out of it, but I would sit in it too long. And then you waste time and you waste energy.
Yeah.
And the negativity and all the negative talk, how much energy and how much time that you can't get back do we spend in that? And now I'm 61. I'll be 62 in January. So I'm kind of at the top of the mountain, right? Almost. And I'm almost like going over the other side. Well, I don't have time to waste energy on negativity. I want everything to be positive, love. And if I do get some negativity that stands in my way while I'm climbing that mountain, then I think about it just for a second. I breathe and then I just push it away and keep it moving. There's just Life is too short. Life is just way, way too short. And absolutely, my relationships with people are better. I have better discernment. That's another huge word: coherence, discernment. Two humongous words. The other thing that I want to talk about is my favorite tools. Um, Favorite tools are green light language because they're small 2 and 3 letter words that will just change your thought process completely. And then I always used to say it at the resiliency clinic, bunker in. Love me some bunker in.
Which for those that don't know that, that's a productivity hack. Is that what would you say how much has your productivity increased since you've been implementing the bunker in?
100%.
A
100%.
100%.
100%
Wow.
because I've trained myself now. When I set my timer for an hour, I'm setting my timer, but my phones are turned off. Because what would happen is, so that's what we talk about when we learn it, right? Is when you do your bunker and you set your hour, you go, do your project. You don't take phone calls, you don't look at texts, you don't stop to eat, you don't stop to pee, you just keep it moving. And then at that hour mark, that's when you stop. You take your 10 to 15-minute break, you pee, you eat, you look at some text messages, and you keep it moving. Well, what I used to do before was, I mean, I bunkered in, but I bunkered in superly. I never stopped. I would like go for 3 or 4 hours. But in between that, I would take phone calls. I would look at text messages. So when I really looked at my productivity, did I get 3 hours of productivity? No. I may have gotten 45, 50 minutes of me really concentrating on a project. Well, now it's I'm bunkering in, and that's my first thing. Oh, bunker in. Let me set my timer, and I'm good. So now I have this. It's a protocol that I do whenever I start a project. I love it. I love it.
I know
I
that was
love
one
it.
of your favorites.
It's
I
one of
think
my
you, I
favorites.
think you were working on a garage project for
Yes,
months.
I
You
was.
learned the tools and
I
you
was.
bunkered in, you got it done in like a half a
Mhm.
day.
So that's the other thing too is I learned when you set your boundary, you step 10 toes on your boundary. You don't get off of it. You don't get one toe off, 2 toes off. No, it's 10 toes on your boundary and you keep it. I think as humans, that's what we do. we let some of our boundaries go sometimes, and we'll give discounts, if you will, right? But no, there's no discounts. It's you stay on your boundary. And I think that's, to me, that was probably, oh gosh, there's so many lessons, but that was one of my biggest lessons is boundaries, getting in coherence, um, and self-love.
Wow. That's a big one. That's a
Huge.
really big one, especially as you're transitioning out of many, many years in the military into civilian life and really finding the quintessential essence of who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
welcome.
Yes,
It's
thank
a
you.
beautiful place to be, isn't it?
It's a
Yeah.
gorgeous place to be, and it's never too late. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier too. It's all about timing. So so I knew about, we'll talk a little bit about our history, right? I knew about you maybe 4 or 5 years ago because I was introduced to you by a very, very good friend of mine that was also going through a not so wonderful journey in her life, and she was going through the heart math class. And so she had told me about it. I was still in uniform, and it wasn't, I wanted to do it, but it just wasn't the time for me to do it. So that the timing was now. And I bask in that. And and because of that, um, when I do want to do something or when something comes up, I really do ask for discernment. Is this the right thing for me to do right now? It looks good. It looks nice and shiny, but it may not be the right thing for me to do. But again, coherence paired with the discernment, paired with praying, powerful,
Very powerful.
powerful,
Coherence of prayer is pretty amazing.
powerful,
It's a beautiful
powerful.
combo. That's where, when scripture says the peace that surpasses all understanding, but it doesn't explain how to get there,
Mhm.
this gives you the tools and how to embody the peace that surpasses all.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And then um you're an angel, and I always ask God to put angels around me and help me through what I need to do. And you were right there when I needed you. And I actually love our first interaction. Remember, we took a walk and we
yeah.
had a not so wonderful experience. And that, I think that was the beginning of, this is the right thing for me to do right now.
Yes. Well, God puts us together to help one another. So thank you so much for sharing your journey of transformation. It's been such a pleasure working with you, and I can't wait to see where you're going to be in 5 years having all these tools. So congratulations on all your success and thank you.
Thank you, Julie. I so appreciate you. I love you so, so much.
Mm.
You're not just a coach for me, but you're also a very good friend, and you're a sister to me, and I really, really appreciate that.
And you're a sister to me, and I love you. Thank you so much.